Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I don't wear color often, but I have a weird thing where I don't even generally like pink for things other than sweaters, and but I have this.
It's so funny. And we're twinsies today. And I had a feeling when I was putting this on that you were going to wear your new hot pink sweater. And here we are.
Exactly, and it's funny because we have such different styles, so when we overlap, it's like, oh, so love it. Okay, we are going to talk about something uncertainty fatigue because it's around, it's out there. We have this pandemic up and down and this and that, and things were getting a lot easier. We're in Canada and Toronto for those of you listening internationally. And then suddenly, I'd say on December 15th is when I really noticed a big difference because it was my birthday when suddenly my boyfriend got a positive test and every single plan I had for the next 10 days was gone. But now it's kind of everywhere. Nadine?
Yeah. I guess uncertainty fatigue is we've been living, to your point, in like very hyper awareness of uncertainty for the last almost 2 years, right? And I think the thing that I'm noticing is that uncertainty is ever present, but before we had the illusion of certainty, and now it's just like everything feels constantly uncertain, and it gets tiring. I think it weighs on us. Our brains are having to process things very differently and having to adapt to new regulations, changes in numbers, etc., very quickly. And we know that our
And even
brains
if you're
don't
not
like.
like looking at the numbers and the things external, it's just like, are kids going back to school? Don't know. I have a trip booked in January. Don't know if I'm going.
Oh
Um,
yeah, we're supposed to go to a comedy show in January. I don't even. Will
Not
that
looking
happen?
really
You know.
good.
I
Not
know.
looking
I'm like
probable.
everything. I'm giving myself 2 days for everything. I'm like I can't make plans out for more than 2 days.
Okay, you're getting to like the punchline here because
Oh.
different people have different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But
True.
look, we want to talk because there are two ways that people are responding to this, and we're seeing around. It's very funny because sometimes these two groups of people, it doesn't work out so well. So there are the people who are like, there is so much uncertainty. I'm going to try and absolutely control everything I can and micromanage. And my mother falls into this category. She was going nuts before Christmas, going, well, what's the plan? When can Scott see people? What, trying to make plans to control things. And then we have
Mm-hmm.
the other group of people who would just like to not deal with it. There's like, I'm just going to not deal and just kind of whatever. And I fall into that. So my mother was calling me. I'm like, I don't know. We'll decide when the time comes. I just don't even know. I don't want to think about it. So I think we were frustrating each other a tiny bit there. But it's frustrating because you can't plan with any certainty for a lot of things right now. Some things you can, but not everything. And also, for the people who want to be in just denial, they can't really go into autopilot either because it's going to come,
Right.
you're going to come up against things that you're like, what am I doing here? I have no idea right now
Right.
what I'm doing.
Right. So Steph, answer this. Like we're at the end of the year, it's December 30th when we're recording this. And it's very much in the zeitgeist and on social and everywhere you turn is like lists and this new year, new you.
And I
People
love
feel.
that. Like, I'm a
I
coach,
do.
no big
I
shock.
kind of.
I love that. I'm like, let's go do it. Yay, shiny new perfect.
Yes, and we also know that a calendar is kind of an arbitrary human way of measuring time and whatnot. But there is this compulsion or this desire to start planning at a time where planning is difficult, and there's some tension there. So for those who are tuning in, what would you recommend? How should people, you know, deal with that
Okay.
in this
First of
time?
all, if you're feeling uncertainty fatigue, you're probably a little bit frustrated, a little bit angry at times, and also a little bit like discombobulated, right? It feels unsettling and it's not relaxing. Even if you're like, I'm going to not worry about it and relaxing, it's kind of not. And I'm a coach, but I'm also a human. And just my thing is honestly, this one really hit me more than a few of some of the others. So I've had to do my own work to deal with it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to say the first thing that is non-negotiable, and I guess the first thing is know that the things that are going to help might be exactly the things that you don't want to do. right? Because when people are angry or frustrated or just want to be in denial, there's a huge resistance to any sort of to poking at that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to let you know there's no perfect solution that's going to make you go, oh, great, I'll just do this. Great, problem solved, done, closed book. So I just want to be really clear up front, because the first thing is to start getting really clear in accepting where you are right now. What is certain? What is uncertain? Now, that is not saying let's go catastrophize and have all of these worst case scenario bullshit, which isn't even realistic, because usually, it's not the best case or the worst case scenario that happens. But it's just more like, be realistic about what do you know? What do you not know? What do you want? How do you feel about it? Like, it's okay to be like angry or disappointed and upset because things are the way they are. But just
Mm-hmm.
knowing what it is, that's like just owning it. That's
so what if you want a trip? What if you want a trip? You want to take a trip and it feels like, oh no. Are you allowed to want? Like, if you want to take a trip in
if you
this
want,
uncertain time, if you want. Yes.
Well, everybody can make their own personal
allowed?
choices. Everybody can make their own personal choices. Like, you're allowed to, I'm not making any rules here that you're not allowed to do something. It's more like, look, you get to make your choices. You can want things also that you can't have. But you just have to start accepting, going, okay, this is not happening right now.
Yes, the yet is important. I can't have it yet.
Yeah. And it might suck, but working through it goes a lot faster if you go towards accepting it, just being like, this is the situation now. The second, so that's, and then it sounds like I'm just throwing that away as it's just the way it is, right? But I realize when you're not, it's not always that easy right away.
Well, you also only have 3 paths ever. Can I change it? Can I leave it? Can I accept it? Right? And we can't really change it or leave it right now. The whole planet is dealing with the same thing at different varying degrees, right? So acceptance is the only path. I find it so comforting to know that, that's it. You have 3 options.
Yeah. And then the next thing that we kind of get to is start to go, okay, well, what do you know and what do you know you want? Like, how do you want things to be in a year, in 5 years? And look, when you're really frustrated because you can't do something you wanted to next week, or you don't know if you're going back to work in person and you want to look for another job, who knows, like all the weeds in our life, when that's all up in the air, I understand how frustrating it can be for someone to be like, hey, let's look long-term now. Let's get out of the weeds. What do you want 5 years from now? And I understand the desire to be like, can you just shut up? I just want to deal with this right in front of me right now. But that said, whole bunch of brain reasons why that I'm not going to bore you with right now. There's a huge advantage that's going to impact how you feel, that's going to impact your approach. If you start saying, okay, where do I want to be long-term? What do I want long-term? What matters to me long-term? Right? And just kind of going, okay, because those things you can still make happen. You might not know how. One of the metaphors we love is looking at the GPS, right? If you set a GPS and you're like, I want to be here eventually. And, if you're kind of like setting a route, the thing I love about GPS is it might say, ooh, construction ahead, finding an alternate route. So maybe you won't go on that trip you had planned or to the event, or you don't know what's happening and you don't know what route it's going to be, but you're still going to where you want. It's so much easier when you think long-term to then, when the shit hits the fan in the day-to-day, to just say, are you about to sneeze? Bless you in advance.
Okay, I didn't sneeze. We're good. Sorry.
When you know what you want long-term and you set that longer-term anchor, it's so much easier in the day-to-day when the shit hits to just be like, now what? Right? And that's what we're trying to get. And when we have acceptance, that's why we talked about acceptance first. And that's why looking long-term helps us with the acceptance piece. There might be something that you are not happy with, that's upsetting, that hurts you, but it's going to get a lot faster to be like, and now what?
You know what? There's something you said in that GPS metaphor that struck me that I've never realized until this moment, which is sometimes the GPS offers an alternate route and it might say 4 minutes longer or 15 minutes longer, but it's worthwhile because you prefer to take the rolling hills road or whatever. And it's your metaphor still applies. You're still headed to where you want to go. but you're choosing to take a route that is more, and a pace that might be more aligned with how you want to live.
Maybe. And sometimes the GPS goes shortcut found last minute. We've taken this much off your trip, or do you want to pay for the highways or not? Right? Like there's so many metaphors we can just like pile on top of each other here. Absolutely.
Okay, so once you set the GPS and you're focusing on like what matters to you, big picture, then what?
Then go back to today. And then I'm going to say something controversial that shouldn't be controversial. But I know a woman said this in the Globe and Mail and was like completely roasted. But the thing is that she didn't explain the details. So before you like click next on this video, I want you to hear the details, because that's where the magic happens. So you know how no one's shutting up about gratitude? Now, that's because when done right, that's the really important part. It actually helps us build our resilience and helps us anchor to the moment. And it has a whole myriad of benefits. But here's the thing about it. Being grateful, it's not just making a list being like, yeah, I'm grateful because I'm healthy, or I'm grateful because I have a home, I'm grateful because my dog is cute, blah, 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 right? You can make an intellectual list. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to have any impact whatsoever, because intellectually, we all know like, yeah, well, this is a good thing, right? Here's the thing about gratitude, the way people are talking about it, the way it builds resilience, the way it works, is you have to actually connect to the feeling of it. And look, if you have a whole bunch of birthday plans that a friend literally flew into town for and everything's being canceled, it's kind of hard to be like, well, I'm grateful that I have a friend who cares that much to begin with. It can be hard at first because you just want to see them.
Yeah.
But it isn't rooting around for that you're going to find something, and it gets easier with time. And that helps us stop from spiraling down more. And it's actually about connecting to like, yeah, this is a good thing. Okay. And that people talk about it so much, but we can't emphasize enough how much it connects to so many things. It also connects to you being able to figure out the answer to now what? Because when you're in the grateful state, you're open-minded, you're curious. A whole bunch of pathways in your brain are connected. And the other parts where you're angry, frustrated, those two things can't be turned on at the same time. So if you're angry and frustrated, you're not going to be able to say now what and have an open mind.
Right. It's like you have blinders on and you're doubling down on your story.
So gratitude is kind of like that first thing that's going to start to, and it's connected to the nervous system, all these things, it's going to start to anchor you and bring you towards possibility. Okay. The other thing is if you're having trouble finding it, you're going to have to be a bit curious. Curiosity is another emotion that is super helpful when we're trying to get out of feeling stuck and like shit and pissed off. Right? So Nadine, what are your thoughts on this gratitude? Because you know how irritating it is if you're pissed off and someone's like, what are you grateful for? So
for me, it's like, I try to teach my kids this. They're teenagers and they can be moody. And it's what I'm trying to teach them is to move past, I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful I have a roof over my head. Yes, all those things, 100%. Yes, amazing. But also don't want to be saying that every day. Like, how can you go a little further? So one thing that the way I position it is, can you seek to experience wonder or awe every day? Like, there's so much we take for granted. And I think the pandemic has highlighted some of this. People have been saying to me how much they enjoyed their time with family this holiday season, the ones that were able to gather. And I think that's because in being apart, we realized that actually it doesn't matter what, that your mother-in-law got you like an ugly mug or something like that, right? Like, it's like so much of it is just to be in each other's presence. To go on walks, when we're in lockdown, we often walk the same 12 blocks over and over again here. Looking for little things, the changing of the seasons, the whatnot, and connecting to wonder and awe and the little magic and miracles all around us, which again sounds like, woo.
But it does. But at the same time, like looking at the sky and being like, look at the sky. It's a really nice sunset. Like that. Here's the thing about gratitude. If you start paying attention to these things and being like, I love this sky, and focusing on it, it's going to be easier to identify more and more things that make you feel that way, because it's actually a habit.
Yeah.
And our brain builds the habit of saying, well, what's good about this? And when you build that, think of it this way, it's also what's good about this also includes finding solutions to problems. Right? So it's not delusional and going, well, everything's shit, but I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, to quote the movie we were just talking about. It's not about denial or bullshit. It's actually about being able to rewire your brain without being in denial and being like, well, this part's okay, and here's an opportunity for something after you've accepted what is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you can change it and do like what you can change, of course, right?
Correct. Okay, what's the final piece?
And the other piece, well, we were talking about this and we're trying to simplify, like, what are the things to just think about? And again, recognize it's not like you're going to do this in 3 seconds. If you know what you want longer term, that's going to imply you kind of know what that person might be like, right? You know what matters to you. Well, in the day you're in the moment you're in, how do you want to show up? I like that question because it kind of brings in, like, what attitude do you want to have? How do you want other people who are interacting with you to feel? Right?
Right.
How do you want to even feel? Like, do you
Right.
want to feel that way? So are you willing to get uncomfortable and be like, I'm not in the mood to focus on this gratitude shit, but you know what? I'm going to work on it.
Okay. I love
So,
that. So if people want, liked what we just said and they want to get in touch with us, what do we want to tell them?
wherever you're watching this, there'll be a link somewhere above, below, to the side. Who knows what it is? Go to kickstartology.com/reset lab. We actually have our free mini intro program. And if you're feeling a bit stuck about things because of the time we're in, we can help you out. Come to that. And we're going to get really practical there. And if you go to that event, you are going to leave knowing things you do not know going in. That's going to give you clearer direction, clearer steps, and touch on a framework that can help you get through what comes up when things get messy, because life inevitably gets messy. So the better we are at dealing with that, the faster we start to live the life we want to live.
I love it. And I am obviously a big fan. So
Looking forward to seeing you.
Amazing. Take care,
Talk
everyone.
soon.
Happy New Year.
Bye.